Over the years of my ministry, I've been able to visit a lot of prisons. I've been in and out of prison a lot over my years of, I've been in and out of prison. Okay, you know what I mean. I've gone to visit prisoners. I haven't actually been arrested and left in prison, but I have seen many, many prisoners in prison. When I began ministry as an assistant, we used to go visit once a month, county jail, and conduct a service. And I've been in state prisons here in California, and I've gone into the prisons there even in foreign countries. And every time I go, makes me think about what it must be like for the prisoners, because I come in and I know that I'm leaving and they're staying behind. You know, there's one prisoner in a prison that must, I would imagine at least, have the most difficult time. He must, or she must have the most hopeless situation, and that's the person on death row. They've done something so heinous, so terrible, that the society has decided that they took a life and now their life would be taken. And I'm not here to debate whether or not that's right or wrong, but what I want you to think about is the last day in that prisoner's life. What it must be like to realize that at midnight or at 5 in the morning or whatever time it is, you're going to be led from your cell to some kind of execution place, and your life will be gone. You'll for sure be in eternity. Well, do you realize that during the Easter story, during the Easter week, there's a man who sort of gets left out of the story? Well, he doesn't necessarily get left out, but you know him. His name is Barabbas. That day that the religious leaders whipped up the crowd into a frenzy when they had arrested Jesus, took him to Annas and Caiaphas, finally took him to Pilate to get the Roman government to sign off on his execution. There were 3 men who languished in the prison preparing for their last day in life. We don't know the names of the other 2, but we do know the name of Barabbas. He must have been the leader. He must have been the linchpin. He must have been the worst of the 3. Because when Pilate offered the crowd Jesus or Barabbas, he just assumed this was a no-brainer. People would have said, well, we'll take Jesus. He's fed us and healed us and taught us. And then there's Barabbas, who led rebellions and robbed, and he was a murderer. And he thought this would be a no-brainer. But of course, they chose Jesus to die and let Barabbas go free. What must it have been like for Barabbas to have heard the footsteps of his executioner coming to his cell? He must have been assuming that, well, this is it. I'm going to be released to be able to be taken to a cross and crucified. Maybe he thought about his past. Maybe he thought about his criminal actions. I don't know what he was thinking, but when the executioner got to his prison cell, when the jailer came to his cell and he opened it, he didn't say to Barabbas, "Come with me, Barabbas, it's your day of death." He said words that Barabbas couldn't have imagined. "Barabbas, you're free." Free? Can you imagine Barabbas's thought? Free? What do you mean free? How am I being freed? The Bible doesn't describe the conversation. It just simply says, then Pilate released Barabbas. But I try to imagine what that conversation must have been like. No, Barabbas, you're free. Well, how am I free? Who set me free? Did the governor pardon me? No, actually, you know that man named Jesus that people have been talking about the last few years? I mean, that religious guy, well, I have no idea, Barabbas, but they called for him to be crucified and for you to go free. So you're free. History doesn't tell us anything about what happened to Barabbas. There are lots of speculations, just like I'm doing a little bit, but the Bible never talks about Barabbas. It doesn't talk about that he came out and went to the cross and looked up at Jesus. It doesn't tell us that he got saved. It drops him from the story. What happened to Barabbas? Did he live the rest of his life as a criminal, as a murderer, as a rebel? Or did he, in fact, join with the followers of Jesus? It would seem to me that if he became a follower of Jesus, somehow we would be told that, but we're not. Maybe Barabbas lived the rest of his life as the kind of person he was when he was in prison. Who knows? Maybe he was rearrested. Maybe he was eventually crucified. I don't know. But what I do know is there are people today, maybe some of you that are watching this, there are people today who have the opportunity to be freed from their sins and turn it down. We who live in a country like America, we have freedoms that people in other countries can't even imagine. I mean, we have the freedoms that's why people want to come to America. Today, I need you to ask yourself, have you been freed, but you're walking around as if you're in bondage? I mean, are you remembering what Easter really is all about? Have you taken time in the last few days, and maybe even today, maybe this is the first of the videos you're watching, but would you at least today take time to ask yourself, does the death of Jesus Christ, does his resurrection mean anything to me? Well, I think again, there are people who would say they were free. There are people who would say they are followers of Jesus, but there's another event that we've been talking about that they're not ready for. They're not looking for, and that's the coming of Jesus. I think about the coming of the Lord Jesus often. I don't get up every day and think about it, though I should. But I wonder if you're thinking about it. If you're looking forward to the day that Jesus will come out of the sky, come into the clouds maybe, and receive his children to himself. Are you ready for that event? Are you ready for Easter 2018? Are you ready to live a life that will make a difference in this world? Are you ready for the coming of Jesus? Because remember, Jesus is coming again.